Hey guys, Nary here from Drake Wing Gamers. Some of you know me on Twitter, The Gaming Dragon. Today I'm coming back at you another Let's Play episode of Violet Memoir, Lucas's Path. So let's go ahead and pick right back up where we left off, guys. You're in that creepy horror section, saving Lucas from certain doom. Guys, sit back for the next 18 minutes. I'm entertaining. Let's jump right in. Alarm sound, you're up, and let's go. Alright. The tension in the air is stronger than anything else. I swear I can hear the blood rushing in my ears. After I take another launching step, my knee almost buckles under me. Jesus, my legs are absolutely burning. I didn't think about how much how much I ran. I don't think they'll collapse. The impact just caught me off guard. With my long leaps, 3 steps already takes me halfway. I almost lose my balance, but I manage to throw myself forward enough to take the final step before falling. Crashing onto the platform, I land awkwardly on my side. Fear of breaking something surges through me just like the pain. I turn on my back, testing my arm's movements around and flex my fingers. It seems everything is intact despite the pain. Lying there for several seconds, I'm forced back to reality by an echoing snap sound from down the hall. Shit! The thrill of walking this wooden tightrope has made me completely forget why I was doing this in the first place. My heart was throbbing in my ears the entire run across. I don't know how many I missed. Grabbing the key, I don't even bother to look at it as I shove it in my shirt pocket. Looking back at the plank, I see the source of that cracking sound from earlier. Near the end by the door, a long stride away from it, there's a horizontal split across the wood and it's dented down slightly. That's going to be a problem. I don't have time to think about it, though, as I force myself to take that first step back. As my foot hits the plank again, it slips and I'm forced to slam my hand down on the wood to stop myself from falling. I didn't realize how slippery this was. I'm worried I might have doomed myself with that crash, but it only caused the entire plank to bend downwards more. It's still a terrifying sight, though. And not wanting to keep my weight on it much longer, I force myself to stand up and take another step. A few more steps later, the crack is close enough that I can no longer ignore it. The entire plank is groaning, and I think I can hear it splitting across the whole thing. I just need to go for it before it breaks apart. Thrusting all my momentum forward, I take a step just past the crack and throw my body forward. Moments after my foot touches the wood, the crack breaks apart, causing the entire plank and myself to drop. As I'm falling, I reach out for what I can in front of me. I'm trying to grasp anything I can get my arms on. Slow, agonizing seconds slowly pass until I feel the bottom of the doorway slam into my stomach. I wheeze loudly but manage to throw one of my hands through to grab the side of the door frame. I'm grateful for how thin I am as I'm able to slowly pull myself up. My entire body wiggled like a worm to make some ground. After a minute of painful crawling, I'm able to hoist up the rest of my body through the door. I'm coughing loudly and I'm worried I might have a broken rib, but it doesn't feel like I caused any significant damage. Just a dull ache. I hope that it's not just the adrenaline. It takes me a couple attempts before I'm able to stand, my legs trembling but holding strong. A little surge of panic fills me as I check my pocket. The key is still in there, little blessings. The snapping sound echoing down the hall forces me back into top gear as I bolt down the hall again. I'm sprinting at full speed down this empty hallway, on the lookout for the door to the gallows. Was it this long before? I wasn't really paying attention to how far I went when the first came down here. That painful searing sensation rises in my thighs, and I know I gotta get there soon. In the distance, I can finally see the door. At first, I slow down in relief before remembering how urgent the situation is. I slam into the door roughly. A groan rushes through my body as I feel some wind leave my lungs. Opening the door, I fall inside just in time to see another platform drop down. There's only 4 platforms left. I run over to the box, pulling the key out as I do. In my rush, I fumble the key and it clangs across the ground. I feel like my entire world falls apart, but due to some miracle, the key manages to stay on the wooden walkway. Throwing my entire body down, I grab the key and hover just a few inches away from the keyhole. My eyes notice something on the key and I lift it up to my face. It's writing etched on the top. If he dies, it's all your fault. All your fault, Wally. It's mocking me. My teeth grit and I push it out of my mind. I have to focus on getting this person out. It takes me a few attempts before I finally push the key in and turn it. As soon as I feel the lock clicking into place, the mechanical sounds of gears turning dies down. The struggle and panic from whoever is strung up there quiets down with it. They seem to understand that it's stopping too. There's a flooding feeling of relief surging through me. I can't believe I did it. Running across that plank almost killed me twice, but I'm glad I did it. Even though I rushed my way across the entire thing, I still only had 4 platforms remaining. It would have taken at least double that time to make it across if I had taken my time. With my pride dulling the ache in my body, I'm able to get back to my feet with little struggle. The sound of gears turning catches my attention. It's much quieter than the previous one. As I walk around the room, the platform behind the support beam in the center of the room rises. The moment it locks into place, I'm crossing towards the middle. This platform is thicker than the plank. After that mess, it's hard to still feel scared. It's like I'm all out of terror. Making my way to the next hooded figure. Making my way next to the hooded figure. They don't seem to be struggling much at all now. I guess he's completely out of fear, too. I know I would be. Hey, I got you. You're safe now. There's not even a mutter in response, but I can hear him breathing. My attempts at undoing the knot at the back of the noose are pretty unsuccessful. Having one so close to one is making me feel nauseous. Much more so than when the walk of death earlier. Giving up, I notice that the sack covering their face isn't actually under the noose, so I can just take it off. Hey, I'm taking the sack off. Don't freak out, okay? Again, there's no response. It's an eerie feeling again, but I shouldn't let myself panic. That's only because things get so much worse. I pull off the sack, and I'm met with a sight that shatters me. It's a fox. Specifically, a scrawny cross fox. His auburn eyes and glasses immediately tell me who he is, though. It's Lucas. Except he looks completely messed up. His entire face looks completely bashed in. If it wasn't for his broken glasses and eye color, I might not have recognized him. Blood is completely dripping from his face, and it's a horrific sight. Across his face is a morphed smile. It's not the cute, timid smile he normally has. This one is much more unnatural. It doesn't reach his eyes. They're hollow and dark. But that's not the only thing that's out of place. Ringing in my ears and does that awful snapping sound. The sensation of being on the ground leaves me, and I feel myself drop for only a second before it registers that there's nothing underneath me anymore. There's no time to really think, and my arms instinctually wrap around his waist. A groan leaves my mouth as my head smacks into the fox's stomach. There's a sickening crack echoes above me, and I can't help but stare up. Lucas's head is bent up at an uncomfortably awkward angle. There's no way he survived. But he's looking down at me with bulging eyes, that smile never leaving his face. It's so uncanny that it's seared into my brain. If that wasn't enough, though, his entire body starts rapidly rotting. Before I can even make a sound, his entire fur and skin are gone. Even less time passes before it's just bone. His hollow, empty eye sockets are staring into me. In that final moment, I know this is truly hell. The bones in all his clothing disintegrate into dust, and I'm falling. I'm not able to make any sounds. Shock has completely crippled my body. Before long, I'm completely surrounded by the darkness, falling eternally into the empty void. I'm sorry. I made it in time, but it still wasn't enough. My body jolts and my muscles tighten as I spring up, barely managing to stop myself from shouting out in panic. My hands are trembling with panic as I dig my claws deeper into whatever I'm holding. A pained whimper next to me rips my unfocused eyes toward the source. After a few more agonizing moments, my blurred vision finally clears and I'm able to make out what's causing that pitiful noise. It's Lucas, and he's looking at me with a mixture of concern and a little bit of fear. His eyes are pressed hard against his head, and his eyes are misty. Occasionally, he lets out another pained whimper. It's barely audible behind the sound of my own breathing. Wallace, please let go! That shocks me enough to realize exactly what I'm doing. My hands are gripping Lucas's tail tightly, claws digging into the fur and skin. It doesn't look like there's any blood yet, but it still looks excruciating. Without another thought, I release the tail from my grip, but that doesn't stop my hands from shaking with adrenaline. Lucas quickly slips his tail back behind him, but his attention is still focused on me. There's no anger or resentment there, only worry. Shock fills my mind, and I'm barely able to notice that the entire class is silent, their attention solely on me. Standing up, I snatch my laptop bag and rush to the exit. The bouncing motion of running gives me a sense of dizziness, but I force myself to push my way through the door. The corridor outside the room is cold and fills me with dread. It's just a normal hallway, unlike the more rotting, decrepit one from my nightmare. But that doesn't stop the lingering panic in my chest from pushing me to pick up my pace, and I'm barely able to keep myself from running. The stairwell itself feels different now. It's just as cold as the corridor, but the air feels refreshing. A very light, gentle breeze brushes against my face, and the sensation of relief that surges through me is familiar. It's like when I left home, but with a lot more frantic movement and breathing. I barely managed a few steps before needing to lean against the handrail, my breath still coming out as heaving rasps that echo in the silent stairwell. Seconds go by in near silence, and I can feel myself calming down. My breathing begins to get slower and slower until it's a barely audible pant. It's at this moment that I realize just what's been going on. What an awful, fucked up dream. Did I really think that up? I didn't think I was that disturbed. But it was so vivid, so raw. I could feel the coldness of the key in my hand, and the sound of his snapping neck is still ringing in my head. Man. Ooh, the way he hung there, like there was nothing left but cold resentment staring down at me. That empty, hollow stare, the rush of emotions, the total silence. Emotions overwhelm me, and I need to sit down, but my legs won't move anymore. I didn't realize how tired I am, and not from lack of sleep. Not anymore. I think I'm just a bit fatigued from working myself up, or at least I hope so. Shuffling over towards the stairs, I sit down on the bottom step and pull out my phone. My thumb hovers over the message tab, but the thought that his message might be there is terrifying. Pushing through the hesitation, I open up my text, bracing myself for whatever I might find. There's no weird message there, nothing from Marcus at all, just my latest text from Lily. Of course it wasn't real, why would it be? Despite the relief flowing through me, there's a lingering ache still in my chest as my eyes linger on my saved messages folder. I'm not allowed to dwell on it, though, as the silence is shattered by the sounds of someone jogging down the hall. Just a few moments later, a familiar face rounds the corner. It's Lucas, and he's looking out of breath, nearly tripping when he sees me before rushing over. "Wallace! Thank God you haven't left yet! I was worried I wasn't going to catch you! Are you okay? You looked really scared and you were grabbing my tail really tight. Did something?" "Lucas! I'm okay. It's okay. I'm just a little shook up. I think reading that diary last night messed me up a bit. I've been having a lot of nightmares lately." Examining Lucas, he's just as shaken up about this as I am. He's panting heavily and looking more disheveled than before. On closer inspection, I can see his hands are trembling and his ears are pressing flat against his head. Of course, I didn't even think about how this would affect him. He's already in a pretty vulnerable state. Being stuck here at school, lashing out as I did, must have made things even worse for him. "I'm sorry. I must have really given you a fright. I'm fine, believe me. It was just a messed up dream." "No! You don't need to apologize. Please don't apologize." Tears well up in his eyes. It isn't just anger that Lucas expresses explosively. He wears all his emotions on his sleeve. "Right, sorry. Is your tail okay? I didn't mean to hurt it." "I know you didn't. I know you didn't. It's doing okay. Just a little sore, see?" He flicks his tail in front of himself. The obsidian black fur sheens in the small amount of sunlight coming from above. The sensation of his soft fur still lingers on my cheek, his fox scent familiar to even my lackluster nose. Watching his tail flick back and forth is soothing, like listening to the ticking of a clock. Relaxingly repetitive, like a metronome. Lucas looks like he's calming down himself. His breathing is steadying, and any form of trembling seems to have stopped. A soft smile slowly begins to creep across the fox's face. A sense of relief and joy fills his eyes, lighting up his whole face. "I'm glad you're okay. I feel like I did something wrong and upset you." "What? No, you were fine. It really was just a nightmare." Lucas nods his head, but I don't think he entirely believes me. He's got that soft smile, but his ears are pressing against his head, and he's fidgeting with his hands. I'm afraid Lucas is going to hurt himself again, but by clawing at his ears. "I wish I knew why he did that. Maybe I could help." "Are you doing okay? I know being here makes you uncomfortable." That gets his attention, his ears perking up in a cute gesture of surprise. He looks away from me before answering, refusing to make eye contact with me as his ears flush. "Yeah, I'm doing better now. It's not as bad when I'm not in class. Plus, He looks nervous and starts to reach up with his hands to stop, but stops himself. He opens his mouth a couple times, but nothing comes out, like he's unable to find the words. There's a poignant silence between us. I could say something, but I don't want to rush him. Eventually, he finds his voice again. "I was a bit distracted with everything, with worrying about you. I got my mind off it. So thank you." His tail flicks behind him, reminding me of a dog's wagging tail, and despite the blush in his ears, he returns his attention back to me. "Sorry, I'm pretty fucking shit at this reassuring thing. You ended up just comforting me." This time, Lucas does reach up and grab his ears, but before he has the chance to pull them down, we're interrupted by the sound of multiple footsteps coming down the hall. He adjusts himself, but he can't hide how jittery and uncomfortable he is. I guess not being in class only helps so much. Around the corner comes Lily and the other two members of our group. I quickly get up off the step, not wanting them to be too worried about me. I don't think it'll be too successful, but I have to try. She has a look of shock on her face, and when she sees us at the stairs and her she sees us up at the stair. When she sees us at the stairs, and her sudden stop almost causes the other two to walk into her. "Oh, I didn't think you guys would be here. Are you doing okay? You looked really upset earlier." "Yeah, it was just overreacting. Lucas was worried about me and helped me out." "More like he ended up comforting me. I didn't do shit." He acts embracively, but his body language and expression reveals that he's embarrassed by my compliment. Even Lily gives a chuckle when she glances over. "I'm glad you're doing better, but you probably shouldn't head home right away. You're probably still rather vulnerable, and no one should be alone after a panic attack." "Yeah, I understand. You're probably right. Are we going back to class?" "Oh, no, I talked to the professor, and he said we could leave early. I just explained that we had already picked a topic, that we had decided on a topic earlier and wanted to make sure you were okay." "Looks like the meeting yesterday wasn't just for fun. Though it was definitely fun. We gotta do it again sometime." Lily giggles at this childish enthusiasm, but Lucas and Lee are ignoring him, focusing on me instead, their neutral expressions hiding what they're thinking. The atmosphere of having everyone together is warming and relaxing. It really does feel like I'm surrounded by a group of friends. "I do have more classes today, so I can't stay around, but I'm sure there's someone else who has finished all their classes for the day. Guys?" "I don't go to my other classes anyway. I was going to the library to study. It's quiet there if you know where to go. You can come along if you want. I wouldn't mind." He says that casually, but it looks like the idea of spending time with me out of class has him pretty happy. His tail is filled with excitement, swishing back and forth across the floor. Oscar notices too, and he's got an amused grin stretched across his face, but he, thankfully, doesn't say anything, but gives me a knowing look alongside a wink. No, don't come over here. No. No. Okay, good boy. Reminds me of how he looked when he entered the apartment building on the first day. It's just as cute, too. I'm finished for the day, but I do have to go pick up my sister. She has a soccer club on Wednesdays, and she'll be done soon. I don't like to leave her to walk home alone. You can come, though. I'm all cleared out for the day, too. Was just going to head over to the gym for a swim, though. Would love it if you came along, though, Wallace. Not often I get to show off my swimming abilities. If that's what we otters are built for, you know? I feel like it isn't his swimming skills he wants to show off. Looks like you got a lot of options. I'm gonna head off to get some food before my next class. I'll text you later to make sure you're doing okay? Yeah, thanks. I'm sure I'll be just fine, though. I bet you will, too. Doesn't mean I don't get to be worried. And with that, she skips up the stairs. She seems to always have this positive aura about her. It's infectious. I already miss having her presence in the group. So, Wallace, who are you going with? Oh, sorry. We're going to go with Lucas. I think I'll go with Lucas. Today's been a bit much, and I think just sitting down for a bit would probably do me some good. In truth, though, that's only partially the reason. What are you doing over here, you silly boy? Are you gonna meow Are you gonna meow? Are you gonna meow? I hope you guys can hear that. Yes, my sweet little boy. Yes. You come here to sit near Daddy's feet? In truth, though, it's only partially the reason. The other is that I'm worried about Lucas. He's in pretty bad shape. I just want to make sure he's okay. Lucas looks surprised that he wasn't expecting me to pick him, but he looks happy, too, his tail flicking around with excitement, thankfully avoiding the dusty floor. It looks like Lee approves of the idea, giving me a firm nod and walking over to pat me on the shoulder. His grip is tight but not painful, just firm. That's a great idea. Don't push yourself. Just take time to relax. He looks back at Lucas, who's still standing there dumbstruck, and snaps his tail against the ground, making a sharp cracking sound. That startles the fox out of his dazed state, and he regains his focus. Excuse me. Sorry, I was just surprised. I wasn't expecting... What? That he wouldn't pick you? Oscar finds an opportunity to jump into the conversation. His words come across a bit harsh, but I can tell he's trying to make the light of the situation. Lucas, on the other hand, looks to have taken it completely seriously. His ears drooping, and he looks timidly towards the ground. Yeah, you guys seemed like the better time. I'd probably just make things worse. When I tried to help just now, I ended up being comforted by Wallace. I'm not good at this kind of thing. He looks really upset, like he's about to start crying. I knew it. I was definitely correct that Lucas is in a vulnerable headspace. I bet clawing into his tail didn't help. Maybe he should go with one of you instead. What? No way! You're really fun and cute! Oscar's trying to, once again, lift up the mood of the room, but it doesn't seem to be working on Lucas. If anything, it's making things worse. His ears are now pressing down hard against his head. He's almost digging into his chin into his chest. Lee notices as well and leans down into my ear, whispering softly into it while the other two are distracted. It's free real estate. Look out for him, too. He's a good kid, but he's definitely needing some company, too. He looks down at me with a soft smile and a gentle gaze. His green eyes fill with reassurance and confidence. I'm not able to say anything without ruining the moment, so I can only give a nod, but that looks to satisfy him. Alright guys, I'm gonna pause it right here. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, ring that notification bell. Leave a super thanks for your comment if you can. Leave a super thanks or a tip if you can. It always helps. Until the next video, I love you all. I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye!